Welcome to CBAHI Standards and Survey Process Orientation Program. We will start with discussing the leadership chapter. LD 17, a process for delegation of authority and functions. No man is an island. In order to achieve smooth and timely workflow, some authorities and responsibilities need to be delegated to those qualified to carry them out. Having a clear organization structure is vital in defining the delegation line to subordinates systematically. Authorities within an organization should be clearly defined in its bylaws. It always flows from top to bottom. Job descriptions and assignments clarify the scope of authority for those in supervisory and leadership positions. Accountability always rests with the person with the utmost authority. The standard emphasizes that delegation considers suitable qualifications for the task being delegated. The policy for delegation of authority may be part of the bylaws. It typically contains the hierarchy of delegation for financial and administrative authorities, as well as the process for temporary delegation during times of absence. It may include general statement about what may not be delegated, such as termination of employment, for example. LD 18 highlights the importance of an effective internal and external communication. Hospitals are complex organizations that rely heavily on information exchange in order to provide services. Today, communication channels have overwhelmed leaders and staff. Hospitals need to establish their policies that explain the chain of information flow and how communications within the hospital and with external entities would be carried out. Failures in managing communications may result in staff and patient dissatisfaction or may lead to legal issues. We evaluate LD 18 through the presence of a policy describing roles and responsibilities for vertical and horizontal communications. The policy may include a table or a matrix on the different types of information, the modes of communication, who are the entities sending and receiving them, and the time frame for each type. The policy may include communications with the media and handling social media outlets as they project the image and reputation of the hospital. Within the same policy or in a separate one, incoming requests, especially for acceptance of cases and patient transfer procedures, must be clarified. Other communications would include those related to medico-legal matters and release of information. We also review different departmental meeting minutes to ensure communication reaches all levels and that staff have an outlet to voice out their concerns. LD 19 addresses how introducing a new process or changing an existing one is done in a systematic manner. To cope with environmental and industry pressures, new processes will be introduced and existing ones may be updated or replaced. This could be caused by new technologies, best practice and research data recommendations, or regulatory requirements. Hospitals must ensure that change follows a systematic process and is communicated to concerned entities. To cope with environmental and industry pressures, new processes will be introduced and existing ones may be updated or replaced. This could be caused by new technologies, best practice and research data recommendations, or regulatory requirements. Hospitals must ensure that change follows a systematic process and is communicated to concerned entities. The standard may be evaluated through review of a large-scale quality improvement project or a change in the information technology used in the hospital, for example. The project report should detail the planning phase where customers are identified and rationale for the project is illustrated. Reports from the pilot phase should be reviewed with analysis of the trial and the actions taken accordingly. The project phases are to include staff orientation and training schedule. Monitoring of the project implementation may be done through one or more indicators, such as timeliness and variations reported. LD20 Policy and Procedure Management Process. In an effort to ensure uniformity of service delivery and clarity of rules and regulations, policies and procedures are developed. To manage and control the overflowing of policies, a process must be in place to ensure evidence-based, consistent, and continuous care. Almost 25% of survey activities involve review of policies and procedures and is conducted by all surveyors. Compliance to LD20 is more complex than other standards. Although the requirements are listed in the substandards, hospitals have their unique ways of complying with these requirements. Significant for us as surveyors is to ensure the basic elements are included in the hospital's policy management process, and not to go beyond that based on our different experiences. The policy on policies may be part of the overall document management system and tracking, or an independent one. Most importantly is staff awareness on how to access hospital-wide policies and departmental ones, and the lack of contradictions in the content of these policies. LD21 addresses overseeing contracts and outsourced services. Many organizations decide to outsource services as part of their initiatives for cost reduction, access to specialized expertise, or reducing operational burden. It is important that selection of outside contractors follow identified criteria and the quality of their services are monitored. The compliance to Standard 21 is reviewed during the contract review session conducted by infection control and FMS surveyors. As leadership surveyors, we review the contract management and oversight policies to ensure they address involvement of different hospital leaders and staff in the process. Tools such as checklists should be designed to ease daily or periodic monitoring according to the services contracted. We also review reports concerning the performance of the service provider and the actions taken to rectify any unfavorable findings. LD23 Safe Management of Medical Supplies and Devices. With advancement in healthcare research, wide range of new state-of-the-art devices have overwhelmed the markets. Regulatory bodies such as Saudi FDA had established rules to ensure that only those proven safe are used in Saudi hospitals. To manage the vast options of suppliers and to eliminate wasting valuable resources, selection criteria for suppliers, reporting of device adverse effects, and managing the recall process should be established. To evaluate LD23, we visit the medical supply store and meet with the in-charge. We review their departmental manual where the processes or policies on supplier selection criteria, storage and management of supplies, and recall system should be available. Records are expected to show monitoring of storage requirements as well as par-level control. A sample of reported incident of adverse effect and how it was handled should be reviewed. A documentation of a product that had been recalled by the manufacturer, supplier, or with changed regulatory body requirements should be verified. LD24 Hospital leaders collaborate to optimize the flow of patients. The care process occurs through different settings. Be it patient visits in the outpatient clinics or in the emergency room, he or she may have to go through multiple areas for diagnostic procedures or referrals and consultations. Prolonged intervals between those settings may result in dissatisfaction and underutilization of resources. Smooth patient flow through the different stages in the hospital must be closely monitored by the leaders. There is more than one way compliance to this standard can be evaluated. The hospital may include improving patient flow as one of its objectives with clear action plan and progress or completion report. For example, a project on patient delayed during discharge or delays in admissions. The hospital may present a QI project regarding prolonged waiting time in the radiology department, for instance. Another evidence could be actions taken resulted from patient complaints or satisfaction data. Note, compliance may be also linked to LD19, LD31, or QM8 and QM9. LD 31, Departmental Performance Improvement. As the old saying goes, you cannot improve what you do not measure. Based on a department's scope of services, annual objectives, and regulatory body requirements, heads of departments select what they want to closely monitor. Other measures may be triggered by an adverse event or customer dissatisfaction. The coming two slides explain further the rationale for outcome measurement. This standard may be evaluated during unit visit activity or during the quality committee interview session. A comprehensive presentation of compliance to the standard would include how an objective had been selected based on hospital strategic goals, QI or risk management plan, how the indicator was defined and if a benchmark had been identified. If this indicator had resulted in a QI project, the indicator or project report should show team members, data trends, and actions taken. The meeting minutes reflecting discussions related to prioritizations of actions and recommendations, and other communications related to high-level financial or other resources such as training being provided.